Welcome everybody, it's Nerd Quiz number 17. It is spring, so let's celebrate with some nerd trivia here. Yeah, that's how we celebrate spring over here in my place. Yeah, that's what we do. We do trivia. We're going to start right in with round one, literature, fictional plants. Yeah, why not? Because it's spring. Number one. In the Peanuts comic strip, Charlie Brown's nemesis is a tree that eats what? Number two. What color is the alien weed that spreads across the countryside and clogs waterways in The War of the Worlds? Number three. In the traditional story of Beauty and the Beast, what flower does Belle's father steal that puts him in debt with the Beast? And number four, what was the first mainstream comic book series to completely abandon the Comics Code authority? And number five, the Lorax speaks for the trees, but what is the name of the antagonist who ignores the Lorax's warnings and greedily cuts down all the truffula trees? Alright, round two is fictional companies. Number six, from what company does Wile E. Coyote purchase his dangerous and often defective roadrunner catching equipment? Number seven, what video game franchise takes place within the labyrinthine compound of Aperture Science? Number 8. At Lester Corp, on the 7.5th floor of the Merton Flimmer building, there is a portal that leads into the mind of what actor? Number 9. What fictional airline serves as the go-to company in television and movies that need to feature a plane crash or other aviation disaster without besmearing the reputation of a real airline? And number 10. In the Hudsucker Proxy, what toy does Hudsucker Industries produce to be a deliberate failure, but instead becomes a bestseller and national craze? Round 3, again on fictional companies, but we're going to be looking at their logos this time. I'm going to show you the logos of 5 different companies, taken from movies, television, video games, and I want you to give me the name of the fictional company. Number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Number 14, and number 15. Round 4, moving away from companies and onto the company that we love to keep, comedians. I'm going to play you 5 clips of 5 different comedians, and I just want you to tell me who they are. Let's take a listen. Number 16.
And once I get off the plane in Scotland, I need subtitles. It's very hard. What? That's how they could invent golf. They could have a couple of Guinness, and then the next thing you know, here's my idea for a sport. I knock a ball into a gopher hole. Oh, you mean like pool? No, forget pool. That was a straight stick. A little broken stick. I whack a ball into a gopher hole. Oh, you mean like croquet? Ah, no, not croquet. That's a pussy sport. I put the hole hundreds of yards away. Oh, kind of like a bowling alley. Oh, no way. I put shit in the way. I put stuff in the way like trees and bushes. So you whack the ball, and you're sitting there whacking away, and you feel like you're going to have a stroke. That's what we'll call it, because every time you hit the ball, you think you're going to die. And right near the end, I'll put a nice flat bit with a tiny flag to give you hope. And I'll put a pool and a sandbox to grab your ball. You do this one time? Oh, no, 18 damn times!
Number 17.
There's a condition in combat, most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language, 2 syllables, shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I'll bet you that. I'll bet you that.
Number 18.
You think I'm overdressed? This is my slip. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth about what I'm wearing. I used to work as a lampshade in Las Vegas. Now, you may think my legs are funny. But there's one man in this world who's absolutely crazy about my legs. Colonel Sanders. Modern medical science never comes up with anything to help me. Now, I thought I found something on my own. I found a money-back guarantee on a beauty cream. Rushed down to the store. They took one look at me, paid me in advance. So then I bought one of those girdles with the magic fingers. Wouldn't you know the one I got had arthritis? So then I tried out that new baking soda deodorant. It only works if you're sitting in the refrigerator. So then I went into the dress department. I told the lady I was a medium. Well, she wanted me to contact her dead Uncle Fred. So then she absolutely insisted that I try on this certain dress. She said, "Madam, this dress is so sexy it'll give your husband ideas." I said, "Why, does a brain come with it?" So then I went over to the perfume counter and talked to the lady with the blue hair. My goodness. Your circulation is worse than mine. And I told her I wanted to buy something sexy to catch a man. You ready? Sold me 20 feet of rope and a gun. Well, you know, we are living in the midst of the world's greatest sexual revolution. And what do you want to bet? I end up on the losing side.
Here's number 19.
Did you see The Exorcist? Yeah. See, the movie would have been over for me. If I'd have been in the movie, it would have been over if I'd have walked in the house and heard, "Run!" That would have been it. Wouldn't have had to go no further. Right, with all the extras? No, no, no. Brothers exercise the devil every day, though, with 2 words. Be cool. Because the movie would have been over, right, if it had been a black man in the movie, because you don't be vomiting on no brother's clothes. Right, the brother walking in, what is this smell? What's going on? Why don't the girl wash up? What's wrong with you, girl? Say, what the hell's wrong with you? What put you down in my suit, chump? Possess nothing. I whoop her in the devil's. Messed up their clothes and put the cross back on the wall. Messing around. I know some dudes will whoop the devil, take his money. I mean, that's all you got is a horn and tail? I don't want to see you around here no more, chump.
And finally, number 20.
I'm just so proud to be here. Well, sir, this is just a real pleasure to be here. You know, I've been scared every time I've ever come up here to Nashville, Tennessee from Grinder's Switch. 22 years ago, I was scared when I come up here. I was scared something would happen to me. Now I'm scared it won't. Most generally, it don't. No, there was a handsome man out there. Now, don't give me that stuff. There was a handsome man out there. Yes, sir, and I walked a little faster, and he walked a little faster, and I walked a little faster, and he walked a little faster. I'd have caught him if a fire truck hadn't gotten away. No, I turned around, I said to him, I said, didn't you kind of give me a funny look? He said, lady, you've got a funny look, but I didn't give it to you. I can't help the way I look. When they passed around looks, I thought they said books, and I said, give me a funny one. I can stand almost anything, though, except the other night a feller said something to me that was real hard to take. He said I looked like I'd washed my face real good and forgot to iron it. That really hurt. Well, I got all excited one night. A feller told me that I looked like a breath of spring, and you know that always sounds good. Well, he didn't use them words. He said I looked like the end of a hard winter.
Okay, everybody, pencils down. We're going to go over the answers now. Round 1 was on fictional plants. Number 1, Charlie Brown's nemesis is a tree that eats kites. Just about every year, chomps those kites out of the sky. You think he'd learn to avoid that area, maybe take his kite to an empty lot somewhere? But no, Charlie Brown is persistent, if not all that smart. Number 2, the color of the alien weed, well, of course, it's red. It's from Mars, and in the book, it's sort of stipulated that that's what gives Mars its red color. It's red weed. And, you know, I realized it had been a long while since I had an H.G. Wells reference, so had to go there. Number 3, in Beauty and the Beast, Belle's father steals a rose. Number 4, that first comic book to go off of the comics code was The Swamp Thing. Now, I had to throw in mainstream, of course, there, because at that time there were some other underground comics which said, screw the code, and they'd been doing that for a while. But The Swamp Thing was was the first big mainstream comic. I don't know how big it was at the time, but it was definitely the first mainstream comic, and definitely the first from DC that just went off of the code and said, we're going to have zombies, we're going to have death, lots of undead, some incest as well in one of those issues, and they just said, we're done. And I think at that point, the comics code began to sort of lose their totalitarian grip. Okay, moving on to number 5. The Lorax speaks for the trees, but the guy who speaks for the company in that particular book, his name is the Onceler, and he just ruins the whole town. Round 2, Fictional Companies. Number 6, of course, Wile E. Coyote purchases all of this dangerous but awesome equipment from the Acme Corporation. Once upon a time, on my route from work there was an actual Acme company. That was their sign, like right out front. And I just wanted to go into the lobby and say, I want some rocket skates and a giant rubber band now. I never did. I wish I had. Number 7, the game that takes place in Aperture Science, of course, is Portal. And I realized that I kind of gave that away at number 8. I didn't mean to. I didn't realize it until I read the question out loud here, but I kept it the same. At Leicester Core, there was a portal that delves into the mind of John Malkovich. Great movie called Being John Malkovich, one of the great movies of the 90s. If you haven't checked it out, please. It's great. It's a very trippy movie, but an awesome experience. Go check it out. Number 9, that fictional airline is Oceanic Airlines. You probably know it from Lost, but it actually comes up lots of times. That's sort of the 555 of movie airlines. Whenever they need a fake airline, they go with Oceanic. And number 10, in the Hudsucker proxy, they produce the hula hoop. Now, they mean for it to be a failure and to bankrupt the company because they have a lot of nefarious dealings going on there, but it becomes a huge national craze, of course, and everybody buys them and the company makes millions. Dang! Foiled our plan. Anyway, go check out the Hudsucker proxy. It's not the best Coen Brothers movie, but it is a Coen Brothers movie, which means it's still pretty good. Round 3, again, Fictional Companies. We're looking at some logos here. Number 11, one of the most iconic fictional logo ever. That's Ghostbusters, of course. Number 12, that is the Umbrella Corporation from the Resident Evil series of video games. I've not played them, but I do know of the Umbrella Corporation. Very evil. They make zombies. So yeah, they're bad guys. Number 13, also bad guys, but we don't know what they make, really. Dharma, this is from Lost again. That's the Dharma Initiative logo there. They have lots of variations of that logo, but that is the main one. What do they make? What does Dharma make? Chaos? I don't know. Nobody knows. I saw all of Lost. I don't know what the hell they do. I still don't know. Number 14, that is from Monsters, Inc. That is the corporation in that movie called Monsters, Inc. They make electricity for Monsterland. Yes, and number 15, they also make electricity. That is the logo from Mr. Fusion. Yeah, from the small fusion reactor on the DeLorean in Back to the Future Parts 2 and 3. I know, it's a bit tricky, but hey, it's the 5th one in the list. It's supposed to be trickier. Okay, moving on. Round 4, comedians. Number 16, we lost him last year, and that was very sad. All my comedian friends mourned for a good while, man, because he was great. He was a great comedian. That, of course, was Robin Williams. Side note, not everything I do is family-friendly, but I want Nerd Quiz to be family-friendly for the most part, PG-13. Very difficult to find a Robin Williams bit without lots of just extemporaneous, gratuitous cussing. So I'm glad I found that clip. It's very funny. That is an awesome bit. When you hear it full adult, I guess, it's even funnier with all the curse words. He makes it somehow even funnier by cursing. He's one of the rare guys who can do that. Number 17, speaking of cursing, he's known for it, but that's not really his go-to style. This is George Carlin, of course, one of my favorite George Carlin bits, all about euphemisms. It goes on for a long time, but that first introductory bit is one of the greatest, like 2 or 3 minutes ever.
Shell shock.
Number 18, that is Phyllis Diller, and I found it very strange that George Carlin at that time and lots of other comedians, the next comedian we're going to hear as well, they were doing a lot of political stuff, a lot of racial stuff. They were moving comedy out of the sub-basement into more mainstream and taking on some more important topics. But women in comedy, at the same time, all they could talk about was how ugly they were, how badly they cooked, how terrible their husbands were. And of course, that's different now. Women can talk about everything they want, but it does seem that we still expect them to just talk about women things. There's a lot of work to be done, guys. That's what I'm saying. I can't fix it, but it will fix eventually. It's just taking a long time. I'm being an idiot here. I'm going to stop talking. Number 19 is one of the greats, Richard Pryor. Hey, man, if you think it's difficult finding a Robin Williams clip without cursing, Richard Pryor cursed as much as he breathed, it seems. Very difficult to find one without him cursing, using the N-word, which he stopped using, which is one of the amazing things about Richard Pryor. He used the N-word a lot, and then he came to the realization, no, I don't like that word anymore. And he stopped, which is really awesome. But anyway, this is from a television clip he was in, and even then they had to beep him out because he cursed a lot. But Richard was great, man. And number 20, talk about a filthy mouth. I'm kidding. No, this was Minnie Pearl. Again, she could only talk about how goofy she was, how ugly she was, and how difficult it was for her to find a man. I don't know, man. She was even earlier time than Phyllis Diller, but she just kind of got stuck in that mode. She could only talk about how terrible a person she was. She couldn't take any other topics on. I don't know. It saddens me that that's all women were sort of like just socially allowed to talk about on stage. Anyway, let's move out of that. Anyway, I want to thank you guys a lot for watching the video, for playing along. Nerd Quiz is a lot of fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. I have some other episodes. This is number 17, which means there are at least 16 others before it. You can go check out right here on YouTube, and you can see me doing stand-up. Yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian as well. I'm not as good as any of those on my list here, but I try, and I talk about nerdy stuff. I'm in a rut. So yeah, I can't say, hey, women are in a rut. I'm in a rut. I talk about nerdy stuff. Oh, man. But you can check me out, and that would be awesome. Anyway, next month, come back right here for some more Nerd Quiz trivia. See you guys then.